Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, August 19th, 2024. Still hot, still humid, but it's getting a little bit better. Hope everybody had a good week or weekend. I can tell you that I had a fairly decent weekend, and I was able to go to Gadsden, Alabama. There's a group over there called Grip Autocross, and a buddy of mine has a car that he does autocross with. So we were able to go over and watch him for a while until the storms came, and we had some just tremendous rain come through and pause the event. But it was a lot of fun, and there was a lot of cool cars that were out there hammering it on that course. And that is a lot of fun to see. I wish I was able to put a car out there, uh, just just to throw it through the turns. And there were some classic cars. There were some new cars. There was a 72 El Camino out there. There was a 70, no, earlier, 71 Camaro. There were some mid 80s, 90s Mustangs, 2000s, a bunch of different stuff. A lot of Mazda Miatas were out there. And it's so cool to see that stuff. And in a controlled environment, not just somebody out running around a parking lot somewhere without supervision. But it was fun. So, but storms came and rained everything out for a period of time, and we were able to get back out there to watch a little bit more, and then rains came again, and we said, okay, we're done. So that's what we did this past weekend, and of course, I have plans for this week. My wife and I will be loading up the RV and driving to North Georgia to start work or help work on a 67 Mustang convertible. And so hopefully that all goes well. I'm going to make some video of that. James is here, I know. He's going to make video of that. And we're going to see what we can get done on his car. And hopefully it all goes well. This is kind of what I've been anticipating doing with the RV, is taking trips like this and working on somebody's car. And, hopefully, like as I said, everything goes well. So with all that said, let's see who's here tonight. And I encourage everybody to be involved and be part of this. If you're not new, if you've never been here before, we try to talk about classic cars. And my ballpark range is 55 to 79, somewhere in that time span. We tend to focus a lot on Mustangs, but I encourage everybody to be involved and participate. If you have a question, bring it up. If you have a subject, bring it up. It's nice to have some input. And if I can't help you with the question or give you some advice or anything like that, there's always a great group of people in the chat box who have plenty of information. Okay. Also, you will see behind me the Cobra Jet is back in the shop. Last time we were on, I had it up in the house garage, and now it's back in here, and we're starting the transition into paint mode. So anyway, we'll talk more about that in a minute. I know I got a little sidetracked with the information, but let's see who's here first. First in is Ed Cucciarella. Hello all. You can call me Dave. Well, I'm going to say welcome, Ed. Glad you're here. Let me get that paper out of the way. And he was here quite early, actually. Dave Tyson. Good evening, all. Good evening, Dave. Our first technical Dave sighting. Rick Gain checking in. And he's up in New Jersey. Hope everyone's doing well. Looking forward to some good car conversation. Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Glad you're here, Rick. Terry Keithley, good evening, everyone. Please hit the like and thumbs up for Barry. Thank you kindly. Terry, Betty, and the cats. Thank you, Terry. And I have some pictures I'm going to share later that Terry has sent me. Let's see. Evan's Garage. Hello, everyone. Barry, hope you're doing well. Not much garage progress after my knee had an issue yesterday, but much better today. Yeah, I'm on that path. Knees hate me. They really do hate me. And it's not going to improve anytime soon. Dave Conville, that's our second legal Dave sighting. Glad you're here, Dave. Also from New Jersey. Bob Shoemaker, good evening from Oklahoma. Logged on early to see if the computer will let me see the stream. Last week was a bust. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm glad you're here, Bob. Robert checking in. The Infernal Craftsman, 109 today. Hopefully the temps will start coming down and maybe have a day under 100 in 2 weeks from now. Yeah, Texas is like that, but better you than me. Steve Reed from Paducah, Kentucky. Hello, Barry and everyone. Hope all is well. Glad to hear Steve. And he says better weather this week, mid to low 80s. And then he says better weather here this week. Something. Something low 80s. Okay. Glad you're here, Steve. Dave Britton checking in from the Great White North. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Dave. That's our third Dave sighting, right? And he also says, nice and cool here today at 17 degrees Celsius or 63 degrees Fahrenheit, which sounds lovely. I would like that very much. Dawn's Manufacturing, hello from sunny, then stormy, wet, and sunny again, PDX. Glad to hear, Dawn. Thank you for that shackle pick, by the way. I know I sent a message to you, but appreciate that. Robert's telling Dave Britton, I'm headed over to your place. Yeah. James, my Mustang Garage. Good evening, everyone. Mid 80s all this week in North Georgia and sunny. Will be pleasant with low humidity. I sure hope so. I sure hope so. I was checking the GPS, and it's about 230 miles up to the campground place. So we're not going to be driving very fast. Driving the RV, towing a car. Haven't done that before, so we're not going to be doing 80 miles an hour towing a car behind us. Dave Britton, come on over. We can do some fishing. Yeah, that would be nice. The bowler hat guy, that's David. Hey there, Barry. Really enjoyed the videos you put up on Facebook. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, those were fun. I posted a couple videos from the Autocross event, and man, that the El Camino was hustling, but the Camaro, oh my gosh. I posted pictures on Patreon. I tried to post some of the videos, but all I had was the videos from my phone, and I could not transfer them off of my phone to the computer, so I just gave up on that and posted some pictures. But yeah, these things, they were incredible, really fast for such a short, span of track that they had. But I'm glad you're here, David. Steve Reed, better weather this week, low to mid 80s. Yes. Clark Clifford. Hi, Barry. Hi, Clark. Glad you're here. Gig'em Garage. Good evening. Good evening, Dave. Kevin here. Whoop, come on. There we go. Bell was defective. And James, drive safe. Worst part is going through Atlanta. Yeah, that will be the worst part for sure. Hopefully we don't have any problems. Since Rick's not here yet, I have to take my sip of coffee early. Jeffrey Dewar, hello, Barry, and everyone else. Hello, Jeffrey. Glad you're here. Dave says, car question. How is the quality of the aftermarket Mustang mirrors? Guys on a group I belong to are not impressed these days. That is a good question. I have only dealt with the aftermarket mirrors that I put on Jade. And those were Pacific Coast, something like that. They, I'm assuming you're talking about the outside mirrors, by the way, because James is asking that, inside or outside mirror. I'm assuming you're talking about the outside mirrors. The ones that I used were fine. They had the little, Dave says outside. Okay. So I actually got some that had the little turn signal indicator built into the mirror, which I thought that was a cool, option to put on there. So driver's side, fantastic. Passenger side, I can't pivot it far enough. It's the only thing I don't like about those mirrors. I cannot rotate it far enough to see what's behind me. It's great to have it as an accent piece to make, balance out the car, but function-wise, I can't see out of it. It just won't rotate in far enough. So I don't know if there's anything that I could do to it to modify it, but I like it still because it has that turn signal in it. So it stays on there. I don't plan to swap it out. Now, as far as any other of the mirrors out there, I don't have any input. I have not messed with those. So I know I put a kind of a generic inside mirror on that I glued to the windshield, and that was fine. Not a problem with that one. So yeah, inside or outside, and outside. And Dave, this is one of the points they were saying that you can't see out of them. Yeah, the driver's side is fine. It's perfect. But the passenger side, I cannot rotate it in far enough. And I don't, I'm sure there's probably something that could be done. Like, that there's a pivot ball, and let's say a cone section. So when that ball it pivots, it slides around inside the pocket, and the limitation is the shape. So whenever the post comes over and the post hits on the edge of the framework. So in my mind, if I could take it all apart and I could grind a groove into that inner part of the ball or the framework, then I could pivot it in further. But I'm not going to mess with it. I just don't have the inspiration to mess with it. I forgot to do something. I have to update. Hold on just a second. Okay. I had left something off of the live stream information, but I found it and put it back. Okay. Troy Justit. Sorry I'm late. I was fitting a new battery tray in the 65 and lost track of time. Well, that's okay. As long as you're working on the car, that's fine. We'll let it slide. James, I have the 67 remote mirror. Scott Drake is great, but you have to loosen the mirror, adjust, and then tighten up by the sounds of it. Yeah, I haven't looked into those really at all. You know what? But I have a question for anybody else out there. This is not something that I have checked yet. I was looking at the quarter panel on the Cobra Jet. And as everybody knows, these are all, dynacorn parts, right? And I saw on a post somewhere that somebody said the factory scoop pieces don't fit well in the dynacorn panel. And as I've said many times before, I test fit just about everything I possibly can before I do any kind of paint work. So I'm going to have to scrounge around. I think I have those. Because you think, hey, these things should be dead on. The quarter panel fits so well, you would think these are going to be really good. But I don't know for sure. So that is one of the items that I have to go over, make sure it's going to fit in the pocket, and do what it's supposed to do. Also, as I mentioned in my last Patreon video, there is a slight issue, at least in my mind, of the deck lid. Now, this is aftermarket deck lid provided through Dynacorn. I don't know who actually makes it, but the deck lid itself, for lack of a better shape, I don't know. Let's just say it has a radius of a dime on the top, right? But the extensions have a crisper shape to them. So I'm going to go into this further whenever I put the extensions back up and have a better look at it. I'm just a little concerned that is not going to be the right shape. I want it to be consistent. That's a critical location. Whenever you're looking at a body line, you want to see it flow all the way across the car, or front to back, or side to side. It doesn't matter. You don't want that interruption. So that may be something that I will have to address at some point. But there's a couple things that I have to look at. So we'll find out as we move forward. Roger, hindsight 6-7, greetings from next door. Sorry, I'm late. That's all right. You're here. You're here. Robert, I thought he took those scoops to have them media blasted. Something like that is bugging me about those. Yeah, I did. I know he took parts, and I was down at his place, and I gathered up stuff, but I don't know that I actually found those scoops. So what I will probably do is dig through the my Mach 1 parts, find those original scoops and test fit those and see how those react. Hopefully there is no issue, but we'll have to figure that out, obviously, before I get too far along. James, my original 67 side scoop fins fit very poorly in the dynacorn panel. Even the hood turn signal scoops fit poorly. That's interesting because the hood that I put on Jade, because I did not have the hood with the lights in it. I bought that hood, but I think I got it from Mustangs Unlimited before they went out of business. But I can't tell you who made that hood. But it wasn't dynacorn. At least it didn't have a dynacorn sticker on it. You know how that is. So I don't know for sure, but I know that the inserts on that, I don't recall any issues. I think they fit just fine. Yeah, I don't recall the lights having that problem with the hood. So, but those are some of the things that, as I mentioned many times, you have to look at these parts before you ever get to the final phases. As I've said in the Patreon video that I feel like I'm done, let's say, relatively done with the construction phase of this car or reconstruction of this car. There's nothing else that I can add on. There's nothing that I can really weld onto this car. There's nothing that it needs significant changes. So I'm really in the transition point of going to paint. And that's a good thing. That is really a good thing. So I've been stripping off the weld-through primer on the quarter panel, finished that off. I stripped the tail panel, and I stripped the deck lid, at least the top side. I'll probably do the bottom side as well. It has the EDP coating on it. Get all that stuff off of there, and then get it prepped for epoxy. There's still a good bit to do. I still have to put sealer in the drip rails, make sure those are taken care of, go around the perimeter of the quarter window opening, make sure all that's sealed and taken care of. Obviously, make sure that the vents fit. There's, other than some work that I've done on the driver's door that still needs a little welding, and probably working on the stripping off the right front fender as well. I got to get that cleaned up. So it's just transitioning at this point. Don, speaking of mirrors, Scott Drake offered a convex mirror option for the passenger side. Really makes it nice and useful. I have not seen that, so thank you, Don. May have to check that out. Yeah, just kind of stepping away from the Mustangs for a second. That event that they had for the Autocross. I never really thought about it. If it rained, if they were going to keep racing or not, and it poured. This facility, if you look it up, it's Grip Autocross in Gadsden, Alabama, Gadsden, and it's really kind of neat. These guys, they bought I don't know, it was an old warehouse or something that had a big parking lot up front. Just a few years ago, they decided, hey, let's start doing autocross here. So the building was still there. It was a derelict building, and the parking lot was just terrible. I mean, it was a rough parking lot. But they started doing these events, and they started getting attention. So where funding comes from, I don't know. I have no idea. They elected to tear down the entire building that was there. Then they redid the whole parking lot. I mean, paved it. It is It is I mean, I say parking lot, the track. It's all paved with autocross style pavement, and they've got timing, sensors and a light or a counter that shows you your actual time. They've got a guy who usually comes out there with a drone and follows you around the track and makes videos for everybody. But I'm really happy for that area, and that these guys have stepped up and made this happen. You hear stories all the time of, like, especially drag strips, like this one shut down and this one shut down and this one doesn't. Too much people are complaining about the noise or the upkeep or the taxes or whatever, and these racetracks that go away. Even as so far as NASCAR, you look at some of the old racetracks that they just said, "Oh, we're not going to race there anymore. It's done." And it's nice to see somebody step up and go a different direction and start creating an area that they can do these events. And like I said, they get some really incredible cars. There was one car there, I guess it was at SEMA just this year, '68 Camaro. It looked really good, but I don't think the driver had much experience, so it didn't do very well. But regardless, we need more of that stuff. It's okay that, I don't really watch NASCAR anymore. It just doesn't. It's not the same as what it used to be. And I do see some, different racing styles out there, but I think autocross hits home with more of the, let's say, average person, in a sense. Like, you don't have to have $1 million car or $1 million to go out there and thrash. There's guys out there running around in stock Crown Vics. There's guys out there in stock Mustangs, and they're having a blast. And it gives you that chance to do some performance driving and compete. And so I really do like that. And I know that I haven't looked into it very much. There are events at Atlanta Motor Speedway where they do this. And I've half jokingly said that I want to take my little Honda Fit and go down there and hammer on that thing and just see if it survives. I think it'd be a lot of fun to do something like that. I wouldn't take Jade. I couldn't make myself do that. It's not built for that type of stress, or But little Honda, I'd be happy to thrash on that thing. Rusty, good evening. Rusty's Restoration. Good evening, Barry, and all from Southern Indiana. Jade is looking great in the last video. Yes, thank you, Rusty. It is really looking good. I've been, now that I've detailed a lot of it and cleaned up this and that and rearranged some wiring, just fixing the little stuff that was irritating me personally. And I know there's going to be there should be good interest in this car being sold, and of course that'll lead to the next thing, which will for me will be probably the '69 Mach 1 of my own that I get into. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it's looking right now. So thank you. C&J Hoyt, hello all. How tight should wait a minute. How tight should the, fender fit to the firewall on a 66 coupe? I have a spare donor car to measure off of, and if I set it to those measurements, it's like 1/8 inch off the wall. I can't really answer that question right now. That's a tough one. So, fit to the firewall? I'd have to wrap my brain around that, what you're talking about, because I can't answer that right now. So if anybody else has any input, by all means, share it. Dave Britton, Cletus has brought car racing back to the ground roots with his Crown Vic racing. Yeah, I guess I don't keep up with him, but yeah, it seems that there's a lot more interest in at least the autocross style stuff. Rick Stevenson. Okay, now I can take my third sip of coffee. Rick's here now. Glad you're here, Rick. James, C&J, are you talking about where the fender mounts at cowl to fender, where antenna is located? Some try to match hood to fender gap. Okay. Alan Shildroth. That's a new name. Glad you're here, Alan. What do you think of Peterson restoration videos? That's a good question. He does enough to keep you interested. Put it that way. Like, I've watched some of his videos, and he does some really good stuff. He does. But he doesn't give you a lot of details. He doesn't cover a lot of the challenges you may run into. Like if the fender doesn't fit right, or if the rear valance doesn't fit, or the fender, whatever, door gap. He doesn't seem to give any real do this or don't do that type of stuff. He does share sometimes information that's valuable, and you know he does good work. I know he also doesn't. He has help, which is a big bonus for him. You know, they've got a full restoration business, so for him it's probably more of let's advertise what we can do, rather than let's provide information that's really super beneficial. That's just the way I kind of look at it. He's promoting his business more than anything, and that's good. I mean, that's good for him. I know that they've talked about. I think I heard something like he's not even doing customer cars anymore. Like he's digging up rusted out hulks and just building a body out of dynacorn parts and then selling it. So, and that's, like I said, that's good for his business and what he does. So there is some value in what he shares. But I see it almost consistently as a promotional tool for his company, and that's fine. That's the way it is. Great question. Hope I answered it in a good way. Robert, I think he was talking about the fender apron to firewall gap. In my opinion, 1/8 inch is pretty good, all things considered. So, fender apron to firewall. Oh, in the back. Okay, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, 1/8 of an inch. That ain't bad. I tend to not worry. If that's what we're talking about, I don't worry about that too much. I focus on getting the fender to fit correctly. And then I may adjust the aprons underneath to make them fit the fender. So if the fender's right, the aprons are secondary, but they end up being primary once you get them welded in. Make sense? A lot of times we get kind of caught up in where this fits right. It may not even be made right, or whatever, but it's like, well, this apron needs to do this or it needs to do that, and then later on you put the fender on and nothing lines up. So I try to get all that stuff to line up together, and then lock it down. C&J, we had the Ridge Motorsports Park 1/2 mile away with 2.5 mile road course and a 1.5 mile go-kart track. Wow, now that would be fun. 1.5 miles on a go-kart. That's a big track for a go-kart. Okay, so yeah, talking about the gap there. All right. So C&J, I hope we got some information to help you on that one. Dave Britton, would be great for the channel if he invited you to race. Oh, it would. Yeah, I'd be up for that. I would definitely be up for that. That's the thing. It makes it difficult for me when I go to my buddy's events. He's driving his car to the best of his abilities, but also with restrictions. And what I mean is, for him to get to the track, he drives that car to the track. And then it's an hour and a half drive just to get to the track. So he's competing, driving multiple times a night, maybe up to 5 or 6 times a night, depending on how far he goes in the competition. And then has to drive that car home. So I know in the back of his mind, he's like, I need to be able to drive this home. I can't fully hammer on this car. Whereas and I hate to put it this way, but if I were put in that car, my foot would be going through the floor. I might blow the thing up. Not that I'd want to, but that's the way I am. I would want to make that car suffer, if that makes sense. And it wouldn't matter if it was his car or somebody else's car or my little Honda, whatever. I am going to be pushing that thing so hard. If I either spin out or blow it up, I don't care. I want that rush of, let's do it. Let's hit it hard and see what happens. Robert Peterson does nice stuff, but I see his videos as marketing material for his business, not so much for information. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly my thought. David Outdoors. Hello, all from Syracuse. Hello, David. Glad you're here. James Peterson acts like he has trade secrets. He builds them as a professional. Yes. Yeah. I mean that's and I get it. Yeah. It's all his perspective. I don't hold it against him. And I mean, and not that I know I have lots of experience and all this sort of thing. I generally don't watch his videos because there's nothing for me to gain from it, for the most part. I've seen a few videos. I've seen some of his ideas, and I can, it's like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But I don't watch the videos. Just don't have to. I don't have time. David says, hit the thumbs up, everyone. Yes, by all means, hit the thumbs up. Jerry's Garage Money Pit. Good evening to all from Middle Tennessee. Thumbs up for Barry. Yes, thank you, Jerry. Glad you're here. Hope all is well. David, Barry, I haven't done the 87 Formula Firebird that much. I haven't drove the 87 Formula Firebird that much this year. I built a laundromat instead. Now the laundromat takes all my time up. Okay. So you've got a money laundering business, is what you're saying. That is the number one, money laundering. That's where it came from. They talk about laundering money. That's really where it came from. I don't know if you all knew that or not. So just some information for you. That's how they called it money laundering, because there's no idea to say how much money is made at a laundromat. And so that's why mobsters and everybody would push money through the laundromat as to show it as income, because nobody could argue with it and say, well, you didn't really make $1 million. And well, do you know? Do you know that I didn't make $1 million running this laundromat? You don't know, because there's nothing to say you didn't. But that's how that term came about. Steve Reed, he won't give out much information to Peterson. Yeah, and I've had people they've tried to contact him and get help, and generally doesn't really help them as far as I understand. I have not communicated with them at all. I think we may have communicated once in an email or something like that. But again, he's got a full-time business that he's running, and it's just a promotional tool. That's years ago when we had the body shop. That was what I was trying to do. I was trying to promote the business of the body shop with videos. Of course, that all didn't work out anyway, but that's what I was trying to do when I started the YouTube channel. Okay, so C&J Hoyt says, yes, thanks. Okay. Troy, I think C&J is working on the apron. The firewall, mine was 1/4 inch gap in places. That's why I rebuilt the flange to get it to fit better. Yep. That's generally what we end up doing. And David says, LOL, money laundering. Yeah, that's exactly what it means. Dave Britton, the difference between you and Peterson is he shows you how he rebuilds a car, and you show us how we could do it. Thank you, Dave. That is very valid. That is a valid point. Yes. Good way to put it. Thank you. David, I'm not having a problem yet. Money laundering. Yeah. Well, it's just a matter of your other income. You push that money through the laundromat. Real nautical fishing. Hey Barry, how's everyone doing tonight? While talking about Peterson Restorations, what is the table he builds his car on, and would you consider having one? That's just a steel plate. That's all that is. It's not really a table. It's just a steel plate, and I don't think I would. I don't think I would do it that way, because I can't give up the floor space. He's got that area is dedicated to doing what he does, but that's just a heavy steel plate that he has leveled out to take away any imperfections from the floor. And then he puts the stands up and straps the car down to the plate just to keep it from moving. That's all it is. So I probably wouldn't have something like that, because I just can't. I don't have the space for it. But that's a good question. James, I watch Lost Socket Garage at times. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that channel. I don't think I have. I've heard of it, but that I recall, I've never watched it. Like I think I've watched Vice Grip Guy once, and I can't take it. Dave Britton, he has a perfectly flat plate to work on. Yeah, that's all it is, and that's. I mean, it's a good idea, but I just won't do it. James, coming this week, Barry and I will show an alternative to Peterson's plate. Yes, let's hope so. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, that'll be. We'll see how that goes. I know that, like I said, it's a couple 100 miles up that way, and we'll be working on the car on Wednesday and or Thursday. We'll see how things go, how far we get, and I'll shoot video, and I'm sure James will shoot video, and who knows if I post any live stuff from Facebook or not. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We'll just see how it goes. But I am really looking forward to it. I think again, as I've said before, I wanted to do stuff like this for years, not just be here in my home shop, but be able to go to other places and help people spend a few days or whatever, a couple days. And I just think it makes for good YouTube footage. Plus, it also gives me the chance to stretch out and do other things, help people, and kind of satisfy that itch a little more. Michael Pagliarini, good evening all. Late to the party. I was drilling the holes for the rosette welds on the drip rails. Finally. Yes. Yeah. Those are, that'll be fun. That'll be fun. Dave Britton, the flat plate idea would be better if it was built into the floor. I would probably trip on it every 5 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of like, I mean, I get it, but it's got to be at least, I'm guessing at least 1 inch thick. It has to be heavy. You don't want it to flex at all. And then if you're going to level that plate out, that's some effort. It's a good idea, but it's not something I will incorporate. Doyle Walker. Hi, Barry. Haven't been on the live in a while. Hope all is well. Well, likewise, Doyle. I'm glad you're here. It has been a while. But that's okay. Show up when you can. Real fishing. I'm still going to have to figure out how to make a jig where I can level my 68 out to change the front frame rails out. I've talked to the gentleman with Lost Socket Garage on a live before. They're cool. Okay. Nice. Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, I don't think I've seen them, but I don't know for sure. Terry Keithley, when you travel to Pennsylvania, are you planning on bringing back some gobs? Always. Always. Gobs are always on the menu. Yeah. and that'll be the end of this month. That'll be the end of this month. We'll be making that road trip to pick up the 70 Mach 1 from a friend of mine up there. I hope to shoot some video up there. I have not shared anything on the Studebaker project. You know, I sold that my brother's Studebaker to this friend of the family, and he's been working on it a lot. Like he's repainted the car already. He has repainted the car. He's got it running. I think he was working on the rear brakes, trying to get them taken care of because it had that Lincoln rear end underneath it, and it didn't have calipers. But man, he's got it painted, and it looks good. I'm not going to post any pictures of it. I have pictures of it. I'm not going to post any of those pictures just yet. He went back with the original color, and you know it looks good. It does. Pictures, it does look really good. Now I know that what he does and what I do are different things. You know, I want to fix every single thing wrong, and that's good. That's fine. And he'll fix what needs to be fixed to make it drivable in that respect. So, you know, it's a different approach to the projects. But it's going to look, I know it already looks really good. So I'm hoping to shoot some video on that when I get up there too. Dave Britton, just use a laser level and level everything to the laser line. Yeah. Yeah, not a bad idea. Thank you, Dave. James, Lost Socket Garage is in business of converting coupes into fastbacks. They even have step-by-step and measurement videos, 65, 6, 7, 8. Mustang's very interesting. Oh, okay. That sounds cool. If they do enough of those, then the coupes are going to go up in value because there won't be many left, right? Robert reminds me I have to grab some of the gob copies from Sheets next month if they have any fresh ones this time. Yes. Sheets gas station / food stop also has their version of the gob. It's more of a cake style gob, but they're very, very good. Very good. Troy, would you recommend buying body panels from your dynacorn dealer over NPD? I can drive to NPD where I would have to pay shipping for the dynacorn, but if the quality is better, it may be worth it. That's a good question. I'll be honest, if you can go to NPD and get the parts, probably just go to NPD. Now, it depends on what you're buying. If I'm buying quarter panels, like for this car or any of the other fastbacks, I'm going to get them from dynacorn. I've had NPD, one NPD panel. I still have that NPD panel that we picked up for this car, and it fit pretty good, but it wasn't as good as the dynacorn part. So, at least in that aspect, dynacorn is probably better. Now, the other thing that I've run into is the doors that I did a video on the 69 doors, the shapes, how they're different in different locations. To me, the dynacorn still was a better door, but the NPD is probably fine. Most people aren't going to be as picky as I am when it comes to those little details on things. But yeah, I mean, there's value in not having to add in all the shipping costs. Real, I would imagine the first person that can make a quality drip rail set for the coupe Mustang will be a millionaire. Barry, as good as you are, I believe it's your calling. Yeah. I'd have to contact one of those companies overseas and say, hey, make this, you know, and then they'd want to produce 1,000 of them. But yeah, that would eventually those may become more popular. Troy, I need both door skins and a quarter panel. Okay. For what year car though? That's the only thing I can talk about is the these in particular. So, James, I'm a convertible guy. I'm 6'3" with neck problems, so coupes and fastbacks is out of the question. Okay. Yep. Yeah, being tall is not easy in these Mustangs. Robert, NPD didn't have the good quality panel when we were there, so I'd call and make sure they have the better versions in stock. That is a good point. That is a good point. Yes. Yeah. Make sure that what they have. And Troy says a 65 fastback. So I cannot give you an opinion on the quality of those panels. I just don't know. I can only tell you from the experience of these right here in particular. You could, if you're, I don't know how far you are from NPD, but if you were to call them, like Robert said, and say, hey, I want the better quality panels, and then get a good look at yours to have a visual reference, take some measurements, and then go to them and look at what they have and measure things and look at things and compare. That's probably your best bet, as long as it's not a 300-mile trip or something like that. So I should make more coffee. I should have more going. Okay. Anyway, so as I was saying before, hold on. George says we have friends that live in Ocala, so when we go out to see them, I usually stop at NPD. Okay, well that's not a bad idea. James says NPD kind of confuses me with the better and best parts. Why not just sell the best? Yeah, well the thing is, not everybody wants the best part. When you're market, how do I put it? Be nice about it. There are people out there who just what we would call slap sell cars. They slap them together, paint them bright red, put them up for sale, and hope that somebody buys them. And they don't care if they've got half an inch of Bondo on it. They don't care. So for them, they'll buy the cheapest parts they can get and just mold the car into what they want it to look like, get some pretty paint on it, and then pass it off to somebody else who has to fix it later. So that's kind of what you that's kind of why they have these different levels of parts. Like whenever we had the body shop, you had LKQ parts, you had Kappa certified, of course you had OEM. So the scale was OEM, Kappa certified, and then whatever you could find after that, to the point where you had like Certifit. Certifit, we called it Sortifit. I mean, that's how bad these panels were. And the paper thin, and they were dirt cheap. But if you were fixing up some crappy little car that you were just going to get rid of on the used car lot, you would get the Certifit part all day long and just bash it together, throw some paint on it, and get some fool to come by and buy it. So that's why we have these different levels of parts. All right, so Troy says Ocala. All right. Hold on. Real. Have to jump off. Thanks for your time, Barry, and hope everyone else on here has a great night. Thank you, Real. Michael. That may end up being me. I have driven myself crazy making them look and fit correctly. Yes. And it's, believe me, I don't know. I mean, I do know people that go to the lengths that I do. I know some that go past what I do, and that's okay. But it's I can't. Like, I've had people ask me, "Hey, can you paint my '79 Ford pickup?" I said, "Well, what do you want done to it?" "Oh, nothing. I just want a paint job. I don't care. Just a basic paint job." And I look at him and I'm like, I don't do basic paint jobs. What is it? Does it have dents? Yeah, but just paint over them. I don't care about that. No. I am not going to throw paint over dents. What about rust? Well, just wire brush it, put some treatment. No. I am not going to do that. But I've had people asking me to do a dirt cheap paint job, and I can't. I won't. I refuse. It's got to fit right, and it's got to look right. Tall Red Easel. This is the only Mustang channel endorsed by Iron Man. Thank you, Tall Red Easel. Steve Reed, my door skins and quarter panels came from, I guess, NPD and fit pretty good on my 65 Fastback. Okay, good. Robert, I used the door skins from Gold Star and no fit issues. I believe they are made by Muscle GT. No real fitment issues, went right on the inner panel nicely. That's a bonus. And Troy says, that's good information, Robert. Thank you. Yes. You know, and what's funny about that is, like we talked about before, Muscle GT. I watched videos on that company. And basically, they're the ones that make the parts for dynacorn, and it's a huge business. So they're the ones making the full Volkswagen bus bodies, the Chevy truck cabs, the Mustang bodies, the Camaro bodies. They are the ones that are making all those parts, and watching a video on them, almost like a documentary, they really do their homework in most cases to try to put out the best product they can. Now, what's funny about that is I've had a company, I don't know if it's them directly or a sub company of theirs, they've contacted me at least twice wanting information about my business and sending me the catalogs, PDF catalogs of all of these parts. I mean, of the full bodies, the cabs, the beds, everything. And they're like, we would like to work with you to start, selling these. And I'm like, I ain't doing that. I am not going that deep into. I would have to have a warehouse. I would have to have workers. No, I can't see that happening. Terry Keithley, AC/DC, dirty deeds done dirt cheap. Yes. Robert, I actually bought them on Amazon at the time for under $50. Ooh, that's a good deal. And Robert, I would love to go see their factory in Taiwan. Yeah, I don't remember where I saw the video. If somebody sent it to me, if you sent it to me, I don't remember. But man, just watching them produce these products, just amazing. Just amazing. Terry Keithley, United Pacific makes excellent floors for 40 Fords. Well, that's like a little, what is it? I can't remember the term now. It's not poetry. What's the one where it's has to be so many syllables? Haiku. Is that a haiku, Terry? United Pacific makes excellent floors for 40 Fords. I don't know. Okay. And I think I sent it to you. Okay, on the video of the from the Mustang GT people, you might have. It's really, really incredible. Travis, hey Barry, working so not able to watch. Have a good night all. Thank you, Travis. Glad you at least checked in. So Robert says yes, he sent it to me. Yes. That makes sense. Oh, you know what? Terry, we're going to show some pictures. So he's talking about the excellent floors for 40 Fords. So I'm going to show you some pictures Terry sent me earlier. And that's the interior. Let me take off this comment for a second. So looks like, you're cutting out chunks of the floor. Obviously wearing a face shield and respirator. That's good. Cutoff wheel. And then here's a second shot. So I'm almost the same shot. You don't realize, when you don't really realize how narrow these cars are until you see the taper of the front. So you got your hands full with that one. That's cool. James, MPD actually has had Ford stamp panels, but Ford recalled the lease on the stamping dies because they kept breaking. Plus, it would cost too much to retool since edges were dulling off. Yeah. And it's really unfortunate when it comes to the tail panels, especially for the 65 and 6 cars, because, the Ford tooling ones were the best because it's got a curve in it. And the aftermarket ones, I've had some, and I've had some that were just straight. You have to bend those things to make them fit the car, which is just terrible. Robert says Ford didn't recall the dies. The stamping plant stopped making them as they were taking away time from production that made them more money, i.e. longer production runs with much less change out time wasted. Okay. Terry says, thank you kindly. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of work. Get in there and cut all that stuff out. But that's to me, that's the fun part. Getting in there and getting rid of all the rust and fitting up new panels and welding them in. That's the fun part of the project. Okay. So as I'm progressing through these different projects and what needs to happen, we've talked about the Cobra Jet getting in epoxy, and that's going to happen. They may get sprayed with epoxy in here as opposed to the paint booth because I don't gain anything. Well, I say I don't gain anything, but I may actually gain something by putting it in the paint booth because then it's isolated completely. But I could put it in epoxy out here and start doing the body work. It's nice to have room in here and be able to block sand and get around it. But really, the booth, it probably has enough space once I get everything else out of there. There's a lot of pieces and parts in the paint booth at the moment. But, we've talked about that. And then, of course, the next thing we'll be working on the 68 Mustang. That'll be the next Mustang project, right? So I'm still considering, depending on how this goes, because the next Mustang will not be until, early next year. Let's just look at it that way. But one of my goals was to get the Camaro taken care of, because it doesn't need much at this point, at least in my mind. It doesn't need much. But I would still have to make a trip to AMD and pick up the quarter panels and stuff and try to get that put together. But also, the project for Fangled is already starting. So we have all new suspension already purchased, new rear axle, and there's a few parts coming from back order, but the stuff is already starting to accumulate, which is awesome. So that's going to make it so much better. Now, the goal, of course, is to make it an autocross car, and I will be picking up a lot of new panels, new floor pan, sides, all that stuff. It's going to be kind of like doing the Cobra Jet. We're going to salvage what we can out of Fangled and pretty much be building, hand building a 68 fastback. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to getting that started, again, next year. Nothing comes in or nothing's going to get started until this car is actually painted and down the road. And of course, I'm looking forward to getting that all done as well. But, as it is, I really don't have much else to offer tonight. We are still packing up stuff to take the RV tomorrow. and I've got some safety items I need to address. I've got some tools I want to get a hold of and have them with me. My wife is currently stocking up. I can hear the AC motor running, AC unit running on the RV right now, so I know she's out there doing things, and so I need to take care of that sort of stuff as well. So probably gonna call it a short night very soon. So Bowler Hat guy, were you stationed in 10th Mountain? I was in 10th Mountain Division, yes, when they activated back in 1985. I was in 2nd Battalion, 14th Infantry Regiment, Headquarters Company, Mortar Platoon. That's why I don't hear so good. But yes, I was there when they reactivated, let's say, in 1985. So, yeah. Good question. Okay. So, again, I'm going to call it a night. Let's see. Terry says, I believe United Pacific also makes Camaro parts. Yes, I believe they also do. You're right. But AMD is up the road about an hour and a half from me on northeast. So I need to go up there and get some parts. All right. So that'll be it for tonight. I look forward to getting... thank you, Bowler Hat guy. Appreciate it. I look forward to getting back out here on next Monday. This week, the only video... I still have to edit a video. I'm going to put a video out for the RV cover because I had a company give me an RV cover. So I did a video on putting that on, which was a lot of fun. So I'm going to process that video, and that'll be the video that comes out this week on the channel. But as it is, I'm going to call it a night. I hope everybody has a good week and a good weekend. Be safe out there, and until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.